Alrighty, party peoples of the interwebs, this is the weekly pre-Sunday night stream reminder that every Sunday night, Viva and Barnes, I'm Viva Fry, Montreal litigator turned current Florida rumbler. We have our wonderful Sunday night law extravaganza where we talk about everything that's been going on during the week. This week, we will obviously be talking about the Trump conviction on his 34 felony charges out of New York. We're also going to be talking about Alex Jones, but I'm sitting here, doing the pre-stream review of Twitter, and I came across a tweet from Matt Taibbi, which I read it, and it's amazing because it's reminding me just how egregious, just how hypocritical, just how much of a case this is of accuse your enemies of what you are doing, confession through projection. They just convicted Trump on 34 charges, felony charges of falsification of business records for the underlying felonious purpose of interfering with an election. At least that's what the conviction would have you believe, or the oral jury instructions that the judge gave to the jury, basically leaving the window so far open for a conviction that anybody would have to come to a conviction based on the instructions that corrupt Judge Marchand gave to the jury. All right, the judge said to the jury, you don't all have to agree on the underlying felony, but if you believe that there was an underlying felony that fits any one of the three potential theories, which the prosecution never really fully fleshed out, then you can convict on the 34 felony charges of falsifying business records. The facts of the case and I'm not going to go over them, but I'm just going to read what Matt Taibbi wrote, because it reminded me of the Steele dossier debacle, which, if you want to understand who actually falsified business records for the purposes of election interference, it was Hillary Clinton and the DNC back in 2016. Matt Taibbi wrote, and I may or may not flash the screen grab depending on how much time I have to edit this. Matt Taibbi: Steele was the source of multiple major pre-election stories claiming to link Trump to the Kremlin, most notably the two below. Worse, Clinton issued official reactions to these stories as if the source were not her employee. Remember the Steele dossier, that famous hookers and Trump in a Moscow hotel Steele dossier that Yahoo News ran a story about without revealing that basically that story was slipped to them by intelligence, the same FBI who received that Steele dossier story from one Michael Sussman, attorney for Hillary Clinton and the DNC, who met with the FBI and said, we've got this interesting story, but I'm not here for and on behalf of my client, except for Michael Sussman then went on to bill the DNC and Hillary Clinton for that meeting with the FBI in which he slipped them the Steele dossier. He then went on to lie about that, stood trial in DC for lying about that, and was acquitted despite being dead to rights for having lied about the fact that he was there for and on behalf of his client, DNC and Hillary Clinton, because he billed them for that meeting in which he slipped the FBI the Steele dossier. Come back to the Steele dossier. The Steele dossier was funded and financed by Clinton and the DNC, and it was bunk. It was all lies. Steele himself knew that it was based on unsubstantiated allegations, i.e. lies. The FBI knew that it was unsubstantiated, and yet the FBI leaked it to Yahoo News so that Yahoo would publish the story about the bunk Steele dossier so that the FBI could then rely on that for the purposes of obtaining a FISA warrant to spy on Carter Page for the purposes of spying on Donald Trump, while the media was saying, no, Donald Trump, your tower is not being wiretapped, even though you are in fact being surveilled based on an unlawfully procured secret FISA warrant that was based on lies. Okay, who paid for the Steele dossier? The DNC and the Clintons. They didn't just pay for it. They didn't just then react to stories based on that as if it wasn't their employee who's the one who prepared that bogus Steele dossier. They then went and falsified records by concealing the payment for that Steele dossier. But don't trust me, because you should trust but verify. I had to go to an Associated Press fact check. And I know some of you out there are going to say, Viva, you call AP fact checkers wordsmiths for the devil when they say something you don't like, but when they say something you do like, you rely on them. A, no, but B, when they report something that is so wildly against the narrative that they need to uphold, well, then it is somewhat more credible than when they lie about something that is something that they want to lie about. More simply put, consider it sort of a party admission against interests. When they come out and say, fact check false, there's no proof that the jibby jab causes myocarditis in young men aged 18 to 36. Well, they're towing their own line. Of course, I'm not going to lend much weight to that. When they come out and say, DNC Clinton campaign agreed to steal dossier funding fine, well, then I'm going to say, holy crab apples, this was so bad, even the AP had to confirm it. Listen to this. New York, Associated Press. This is back in the day. This is from like what year is it from? Doesn't matter, it's back in the day. New York Associated Press. Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign and the DNC have agreed to pay $113,000 to settle a federal election commission investigation into whether they violated campaign finance law by misreporting spending on research that eventually became the infamous Steele dossier. That's according to documents sent Tuesday to the Coolidge-Reagan Foundation, which had filed an administrative complaint in 2018 accusing the Democrats of misreporting payments made to a law firm during the 2016 campaign to obscure the spending. Does this sound familiar? Does this sound like exactly what they accused Donald Trump of, except he didn't use campaign funds for that payment in the first place? It was his own personal funds going to his own lawyer who was concealing it from him, even at the time. Does it sound like what they accused Trump of? It should, because it's exactly what they accused Trump of, except they are the ones who did it. Listen to this. The Clinton campaign hired Perkins Coie, which then hired Fusion GPS, a research and intelligence firm, to conduct opposition research on Republican candidate Donald Trump's ties to Russia. But on the FEC forms, the Clinton campaign classified the spending as legal services. They hired this Steele dossier, the Fusion GPS, to concoct a lie. A lie. It wasn't opposition research because it was a lie. That's election interference, by the way. They then lied about the funding of it, concealed it by marking it down as legal expenses with campaign funds. The Associated Press, quote, by intentionally obscuring their payments through Perkins Coie and failing to publicly disclose the true purpose of those payments, end quote, the campaign and the DNC, quote, were able to avoid publicly reporting on their statutorily required FEC disclosure forms the fact that they were paying Fusion GPS to perform opposition research on Trump with the intent of influencing the outcome of the 2016 presidential election, the initial complaint had read. It's not just that they're accusing Trump of having done things that he didn't do, fabricating this bogus 34-charge felony indictment and then convicting him on it. Hillary Clinton and the DNC literally in actus reus and, and mens rea, in the act and in the intent, did exactly that which the media and the corrupt Soros-funded Alvin Bragg accused Donald Trump of. They paid for opposition research, which they knew was a lie. Their lawyer slipped it to the FBI. It went out into the media. They then reacted to this bogus story that they paid for, that they knew that they paid for, and that they concealed having paid for, as if it wasn't something provided by, concocted by, drafted by their own employee, as though they were reacting to the news. Lied about the payment, concealed the payment. When they got disclosed that they had lied about the payment, what was the penalty? $8,000 penalty for Hillary Clinton and $115 for the DNC. Criminal. Literally the exact actus reus, mens rea crime that they accused Donald Trump of. Trump gets convicted of a non-crime and they pay a minor fine, slap on the wrist, for actually having committed the actual crime that they accused Trump of having committed. We'll talk about this and more tonight. Sunday nights at 1800 o'clock is when Viva Fry and Robert Barnes, that's me and Robert Barnes have our Sunday night show. If you like what I do, be sure to like, share, subscribe. Make sure you are subscribed and you have notifications turned on. Whenever I put out a video and you see the notification come out, give it a thumbs up or thumbs down for all I care if you don't like what I have to say, but drop a comment and let me know why. Viva Fry on Rumble, Viva Fry on Twitter, vivabarneslaw.locals.com for the best above average community out there. 4:31 people, we got a show in less than 90 minutes. Go, now you know your vlog. Peace out. Booyah!
Also tonight, word that Hillary Clinton's campaign and the Democratic National Committee helped to pay for research that produced the dossier of allegations about President Trump's ties to Russia. The Washington Post reporting the arrangement was coordinated by a lawyer representing the Clinton campaign and the DNC. The dossier has become a focus of intense debate amid the investigations into the Trump campaign's possible connections to Russia. President Trump has repeatedly called those investigations a witch hunt.